Frederick and Maggie.
And we are live. Welcome to Ready Row USA. This is Charlotte Pierce, the producer, and I'd like to introduce our panelists today. We're talking about rowing to recovery, specifically breast cancer, but other types of physical and mental issues that people have and depend on rowing to help them on the road to recovery. So, Amy, you're our host today, and I'm going to toss it to you when we get through the introduction things. But you're with the head of the Charles.
I am, and thank you for having me back. It's great to be back, Charlotte.
Yeah, we had you on to talk about the virtual head of the Charles, and that was a huge success.
It was a huge success. So yes, it was great to be here to talk to everyone about it, and it was great to actually see it all happen. It's
like the gold standard of virtual events now, I think. So, and then we have Kathy Frederick with Row for the Cure. You want to wave to the people, Kathy? And we have Maggie Dwyer, who has just come on with Recovery on Water Row, and you're in Chicago, right?
Yes, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here and talking about this really critical, inspiring movement for rowing and breast cancer recovery. So I'd like to go through our quick little intro here, and we are Ready Row USA. This is our 85th episode. And we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary in December. We had Mark Wilson and Arshay Cooper on the first time, I think. Yeah, I know. 2 of my favorite people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We are doing Rowing to Recovery. It's as we've been chatting before the show, rowing is uniquely suited for recovery. From breast cancer to addiction to mental health, and we'll be focusing on breast cancer programs, the Row for the Cure and Recovery on Water in particular. And there's enough to say about that, but we'll make this a regular feature too. So I'm Charlotte Pierce. I'm the producer, and I have a publishing company that produces this show called Pierce Press, and we publish books as well. Amy Mayer is the head of the Charles Regatta race director in her one of her lives. and Maggie Dwyer with Recovery on Water and Kathy Frederick are here with us. We are distributed by Rowing Chat, the Rowing Podcast Network. We have several podcasts on the network, and we are distributed by them. We're also available at piercepress.com/podcasts. If you want to revisit any of the episodes, you can see them there. Gotta get our sponsors in here. We appreciate our sponsors. Our executive producer, Rebecca Caro and Marlene Royal, have put out, they're launching a new magazine for Masters Rowers, which is all of us here today. And they have 4 in-depth articles per month, plus a really cool series of interviews, lifestyle, like equipment and so forth. Really knowledgeable folks in the rowing world. And Kanghua UK, for all you people who've been looking for a single, because I know you're looking for a single, they have one for sale. So I guess they wanted to be on to kind of advertise that. It's a Chinese made boat, but a very nice boat. And you can try out a single near your home club if you contract UK sales at kanghua.co.uk. And all that complicated stuff will be in our show notes. So don't even worry about writing it down. It's just all you need to remember is that there's a single available, and you can have it for 6,000 pounds. I'm going to turn it over to Amy and y'all. And if you need any particular slides, just let me know. We are going out on audio podcast as well. So don't worry too much about, the people who are watching and will be able to watch later on YouTube and Facebook can see our visuals. But that's about it for me. And I'll come back on at about 7:25.
Excellent. Well, Charlotte, I really want to thank you for having me back. And I'm really excited to be joined by both Kathy and Maggie. What I thought I might start by doing for folks, as Charlotte said, the Head of the Charles just happened. And for me, rowing really was the reason that I was diagnosed with breast cancer at 37 years old. And it's been very much basically what happened for me. The short story was I was having a sore lat muscle on my left-hand side at 36 years old. I had a mammogram. I was totally fine. I went back the following year because I was on the cycle at the hospital for my mammogram. And lo and behold, I had DCIS, so ductal karma in situ. So very, very early form of breast cancer. But I had no family history. I had no lump. There was nothing I could feel. And it was found on a 3D mammogram. And that diagnosis was actually July 15th of 2014. Up until that point, you know, I had been training, I had been rowing. And really for me, what I did, and actually it was my surgery that was July 15th, but I was diagnosed in May of 2014. And really between May and July, I rowed every day and I put my heart and soul into getting in as best shape as I possibly could in advance of my surgery. And given my age at the time, I was 37 years old, I made the decision because I was still wanting to have a family. I didn't want to have chemo and radiation. I was a really good candidate for what was what's called a nipple and skin sparing mastectomy. So basically had the mastectomy, did reconstruction at the same time. I went in for my surgery. You know, I was sort of one and done with the surgery. And basically from July until that fall, that October, I set the goal to row in the Head of the Charles Regatta. And as someone who's, you know, I volunteered for the Head of the Charles for almost 25 years now, it was the 50th anniversary that year of the Head of the Charles. And it was very, very important to me personally, excuse me, that I participate in the Charles that year. So I recovered, I rode in a launch as long as I could before my surgery, excuse me. Excuse me. I rode in a launch as long as I could before my surgery. And basically I got back in a boat 2 weeks before the Head of the Charles, and I actually ended up rowing in a 4. And I know Charlotte just brought up that picture. So I know for me, every year the Head of the Charles has very, very special meeting. I remember that picture being taken. I was rowing under the Elliott Bridge with these other 3 lovely ladies that you see in this picture and that coxswain. I was wearing bright pink, and I think I had all of my doctors, nurses, social workers, and everyone screaming down the Charles River, go Amy. And it will be a day that I will never, never forget. I also did fundraising that fall for an organization called Pull for a Cure, which is affiliated with the Making Strides of Boston Breast Cancer Walk, and is actually an organization that was started by Dan Aziz, who is actually a Brown University graduate. And I had the opportunity to not only row, but also do fundraising. And since then, I've really tried to be, because I was diagnosed under 40, I've really tried to be an advocate in the rowing community as well as in the greater Boston community for breast cancer research and early detection. As you can see in the next picture that Charlotte's showing, I was on the front page of the Telegram and Gazette. It was actually the following year in 2015. I rowed with my mixed doubles partner, Harry Sangarath. Again, we wore pink, and in every single Head of the Charles that I've rowed since, I've sported pink to recognize and honor and feel strong myself for obviously now being a survivor, but to show support for all of the other men and women out there that are affected by breast cancer. And I was actually featured as one of the stories of hope for the 2015 Making Strides for Breast Cancer Walk. So I did a keynote speech with Channel 7 at the Hat Show in Boston, which was really, really cool. So I'm thrilled to be here tonight with both Kathy and Maggie, because for me, rowing was a way for me to really take my life back and to really focus and be strong during my journey. So Maggie, I don't know if maybe you want to kind of talk a little bit about recovery on the water. I mean, I know for myself, obviously, I obviously used rowing as a means of like gearing up for my surgery, but obviously I've continued to row since to stay in shape. But can you maybe just sort of initially talk about your organization and how it really helps men and women?
Yeah, thank you, Amy. And what a powerful story. That's truly amazing. I am lucky enough that I have not had a breast cancer diagnosis, but I'm a rower, and it makes me so happy to hear that women, going through a really tough time in their lives, rowing is their light at the end of the tunnel. And that's been really, really awesome for me to learn. So like Amy said, I am the executive director of an organization based out of Chicago called Recovery on Water. We were founded in 2007, and we are a rowing team, fitness community for women with breast cancer. It is a women's only organization. Women join the team at really any point throughout their breast cancer treatment. They can join as long as they're medically cleared. People can join as soon as they're diagnosed, or we do have members who join years later after a diagnosis. So right now we are completely virtual. It's really important for us that we continue to provide exercise for our members. There's been studies that show it can reduce recurrence by up to 50% for some women. It has significant impact in reducing fatigue and symptoms of depression, and can also help with lymphedema and other complications that come with breast cancer. So even during COVID, it's been really important to us to still be able to provide that in a safe way for our members. These women are amazing. I'm still relatively new to Recovery on Water. I started back in August, so I've only been here for about 2 months. And I like to say that I feel doubly lucky because I have not been diagnosed with breast cancer, and even though I haven't, I've still been able to find this organization. And I'm so lucky to have found Row. So that's a little bit about us. And it looks like Charlotte's putting up some pictures of our wonderful members up here. They truly are inspiring. They're great. So.
No, you brought up, one interesting thing that I think about, when I was going through it, and even now, I'm obviously 6 years beyond it. And, I didn't say this in the intro, but I went through everything. I rode in the head of the Charles, and then 2 weeks after the head of the Charles that fall in 2014, my mom, who was 63, who'd been getting screened every year, also got diagnosed. So she was back in Boston having surgery a few weeks later. And there definitely is a whole mental component to it. So can you talk a little bit about just what you've seen from some of the members in the process that and how rowing really helps them, manage their stress and manage the whole mental part of the recovery process?
Yeah. Well, I think it also stems back to just the support that they're getting from their teammates. I think the fact that they have women to turn to when maybe they're really not feeling great from a mental state, and they have women that are just like them that are going through, something very similar. In terms of the mental effects of rowing, I think exercise in general, produces endorphins.
Absolutely.
And it's great for anyone, whether they have breast cancer or not. But I think in talking to these women, a lot of them were just really down on themselves. Like they lost a lot of confidence. Some of them had been athletes, some of them hadn't. And for everyone, rowing gave them a way to feel like they were being proactive and a way for them to fight back against this awful diagnosis. And I think from what I've heard, like some of them were just feeling really helpless, and this kind of gave them something to be excited about and something to feel like they were making a difference and, creating a better path for themselves amidst a really awful diagnosis. So I do think it's twofold. I think the support and being around other women is really helpful, but also feeling like they can actually do something about it and they can help themselves by being active and finding this amazing sport. I love it. It's so funny. Most of these women never knew about rowing before they got diagnosed with breast cancer, and they love it. they are like total rowers. They're like rowing geeks. They love going to regattas. They absolutely love the identity of becoming a rower. And I think that that's really cool that they found that post, a terrible thing in their lives. So.
Yeah, I think for myself, I remember one of the first women who was sort of one of my angels, I call her. A phrase she used with me was, you're going to be the warrior in your battle armor, ready for battle. And there's the prepping and getting through it, but then there's also dealing with it for the rest of your life. And Kathy, being from Row for the Cure, and I'm super excited that we were able to connect through this. So one of my goals has been to try to bring a Row for the Cure to Worcester actually here and get something run. And I'm not running the head of Charles. But these regattas and getting people involved, obviously to support. Can you maybe start by talking about how you got involved, and then obviously the listeners that are out there, if they were interested in getting involved, how do they do that?
Sure. Thank you. And it's just really an honor to be asked to be on this program. I very much appreciate the chance to toot our horn. I started rowing Row for the Cure 28 years ago. And at that time, there was not much that I could see in the rowing community nationally that was targeted as fundraisers for anything other than rowing organizations. There wasn't an outreach to society to help people with disabilities or whatever. It just wasn't there. And I fell in love with rowing because I grew up with dance and got in a boat, and it was like dancing on water. So when I lost a friend to ovarian cancer very suddenly, she was a woman who was extremely generous, and I wanted to honor her. I really, really appreciated the help that she had given me, and her diagnosis was she passed away very, very quickly. And so I thought, I hate running. And there were runs all over town, and my family were runners. And I said, I hate running, but I absolutely love rowing. So I went to my club and said, do you suppose we could do a little fundraiser in honor of Bobby Cooper? And so actually the first year we did a parade of boats because I'd never put on a regatta before. And it
a lot of work.
So successful. It's just dive in,
Yeah, absolutely. Just run a regatta.
Yeah. So everybody had such a good time, and they said, oh, well, we've got to do this again next year. And it kept going and getting bigger and better organized and more volunteers. And I started hearing about Row for the Cure events across the country. When I started it, I chose donating the funds that we raised to Susan G. Komen. And the reason I did that is I wanted the funds from our event to go to two things: local programs and breast cancer research. There's, Komen is a big organization. Like most right now, they're really having to reorganize, and we are reorganizing along with them. But the idea of supporting local programs for families and patients, and Komen does grants all over the country, and American Cancer Society and the other big ones just all seemed so big and so national, and they would step up when there was a crisis somewhere, but it wasn't part of our community in the same way. So in hearing about, other Row for the Cures popping up, I wanted to make sure that they stayed with my vision of, what the organization should be. And I was very lucky to run into people who could help me put that together and actually organize a national program to help other clubs put on regattas and to send their funds to their local affiliate of Komen. So over the years, I've had many people approach me with their stories of survival. And even though I'm not I've never been diagnosed. My mother was a survivor. She was diagnosed when she was in her 80s, and I happened to be at a U.S. rowing convention when she was diagnosed. I think that was in Florida. And she has since passed away, but from other causes. I had a great aunt who passed away from breast cancer. And so there was breast cancer in my family. And I started to realize how big a deal it is, how far it reaches, and learning that men get breast cancer too. We made sure that none of our events were women only. In rowing, we've got our women's boats and our men's boats and our mixed boats. So we can do it that way. But learning more about men having breast cancer and talking to some of them and how it was found for them and so forth. And there isn't a year that goes by that I don't personally know someone who is diagnosed, and often know of someone connected to me who ends up not making it. So it's not anything that I will ever let go of entirely, but the leadership is out of my hands now. So I just would love to have community. I'd love to have a Row for the Cure in every rowing community in the country. And right now we're just in the last week of our Pink the Boathouse Challenge. And you can go online right now to the rowforthecure.org website and find a link to the challenge page and enter. We're getting very close to our $50,000 goal for our very first challenge year. And there's just lots of ways to participate. So I just really want to encourage everybody to, take a look at it and see if you can't fit in, a little something.
No, I mean, I think, as an athlete and someone who's faced with something like this, I mean, I think, listening to both of you, I mean, I think, one of the first things that, comes to someone's mind, obviously in going through it myself is, you feel this weight on your shoulders and this burden. And I think the sense of community in these organizations, as well as the rowing community as a whole, my advice to anyone that's out there that's listening who has either been personally affected, is knows of someone, it is Pinktober, obviously, as it's been kind of stereotyped, but there's so many ways, and the bottom line is that people are not alone. And I think, for myself, I was the first person diagnosed in my family, but what happened immediately the very next day after I was diagnosed, and I started telling my friends, who were my closest friends or my rowing teammates, about what happened, how they all embraced me and helped me get from the day after my diagnosis to the day I rode that head of the Charles through to even today, and all of the support that they've given me. That's really what I think got me through. And, recovery on the water, Maggie, I mean, it's great that, you're able to pull people together. I mean, I'm sure you see that, just the sense of community and the women coming together.
Yeah, it really is amazing. I want to read this definition. We had a woman who posted in our group chat the other day that she found a new term, and it's called post-traumatic growth. And it's the psychological transformation that follows a stressful encounter, the way of finding the purpose of pain and looking beyond the struggle. And she says that post-traumatic growth is what she experienced when she found recovery on water. So I think it really sums up what a lot of these women find post-diagnosis.
No, and it's really important, because there's very much, you want to deny that there isn't a mental part of it. But even to this day, I mean, I still struggle, as I like to say, with the demons in the back of my mind. Whether I see an article on the news, I scroll by something on Facebook that just strikes a nerve with me. You never really know when you need an organization to support. And, I think getting involved, I'd encourage anyone, Kathy, it's great to see all of the work that you guys have done and how close you are to your goal. And, I'm just thrilled to have had the opportunity to be able to spend some time with both of you tonight, and just want to thank Charlotte for producing and pulling us together. And I hope that what we've shared tonight can be a resource to everyone that's listening.
Yeah, I have to say this has been really inspiring. I'm so glad that, and I'm sorry it's so late in October that I got to it, but I know rowing has been huge part of recovery for friends of mine from all sorts of illnesses and challenges, mental, physical, and often they come together, like you were saying. Yeah. So it's, I hear stuff like this and I think, like, why do I even complain about anything ever? But thank you all for being here, and let's do it again. And there's more to say, and keep me posted. I can put stuff in the show notes and in our regular social media. We'd like to support you in any way we can.
So, well, thank you.
Thank you so much, Charlotte.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Yeah, thank you. Stick around for a second, and I just wanted to mention the HOCR head of the Charles Gold Cup Foundation. We had one of the ambassadors on the other day in our episode on diversity and inclusion, and Michelle Sosa. She works for Hydro, and that's just a really cool thing that y'all are doing. And do you know a little bit about that, Amy? Or
yeah, I know it's been a way for the virtual event we just held. All of the proceeds from all of the entry fees went to the Gold Cup. So it's really really meant to provide opportunity for rowing organizations, individuals that need support.
Absolutely, and this diversity and inclusion and accessibility. It will only make our sport more healthy and better, and it'll be something to be proud of when we're not there quite yet, but we're getting there. We are again grateful to our fabulous sponsors. You can find full contact information on our rowing.chat/sponsors, and we welcome other sponsors and underwriters to the organization. We would like to connect with you, and here some of our best episodes come from listener suggestions, and there's a whole world of people out there. We love to connect with you. So use the hashtag ReadyRowUSA, no punctuation, and we'll stalk you on social media and find and award you wonderful things. So there it is, ReadyRowUSA, and we also have a club news forum and a gadgets and gear forum. So we like to get your contributions on those things. We some of the best suggestions are like little $5 gadgets to make your rowing just, sing. So, and there's expensive gadgets too. We always like the range of gadgets. So again, thank you. I'm Charlotte Pierce with Pierce Press, and we are the producers of Ready Row USA. We're very proud of our award for a children's picture book we just put out called Who's Hiding in This Book? Again, another theme of diversity and inclusion. And it's called Who's Hiding in This Book? We're going to come up on our 2-year anniversary in a couple of few weeks. We're going to call it the Row-a-Palooza. I just came up with that today. And we're going to do club spotlights. So anybody has a club that you know of, or, like out in Portland, or so you're in Portland, you're in, Maggie, you're in Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah. Just, it doesn't matter what the news is. It could be like you hired somebody or you built a new dock or something, I just like to get little snippets of rowing club life into the show, and that's through our club news forum. We can do that. Awesome. And that's about it. I'm going to this will take us out, and we're actually at 7:29. We actually hit our half-hour target, but like I said, there's so much more to say, and I really appreciate you all being here. So inspiring. You are so inspiring.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Charlotte.
Right. See you on the other side.
All righty.